Guild Wars is one of the most beautiful, fluid, just one of those things you can sink your teeth into and go play.
Visually speaking, I mean, we have one of the most beautiful games out there.
You're going through the game and manipulating your own party's involvement in what they do, where you couldn't do that within Chapter 1 or 2. You have PvP that is just on an epic scale. It's better than anything out there, in my opinion. You're going to be creating the armor sets, and you're going to pick which skills that your heroes have, where you couldn't do that with your henchmen.
Where Guild Wars really gets the most interesting and the most strategic is when you're not only thinking about your character, you're thinking about your entire party.
There's a difficulty there that is always curving with your abilities, and it always gives you just one more challenge that you have to overcome, and rewards you in such a way that you feel that you have accomplished something, even though you have a little bit more to go. There's some really difficult fights. There's a storyline that's just so in-depth and fun that you're exploring this whole story. It's like reading a book that you are writing yourself and don't even know what is going to happen.
You're only as good as your last game, and so you know, we're certainly not going to sit around and look at Guild Wars and say, well, we're done, you know, wipe our hands. We're going to be pushing forward and you know, always bringing new play experiences.
Guild Wars, which launched in April 2005 by ArenaNet, quickly gained respect as one of the best RPGs ever. With the critically acclaimed release of Factions, the second campaign, Guild Wars solidified its place among the industry's elite. With the first 2 installments selling millions of copies to date, ArenaNet hopes to build on this success with the franchise's 3rd installment, Nightfall. Gameplay HD has been granted access to ArenaNet's offices in Bellevue, Washington, for an all-encompassing look at the making of Nightfall.
We decided to start a company to create a game that sort of would jump past the limitations that we saw in the game industry at that time.
And the result, of course, was Guild Wars, which is a game we're you know, immensely proud of. And really, I think the one thing that you'll always be able to say about our company is that you know, we are willing to really innovate and really take, you know, make bold decisions and push things in new directions.
You know, I write some of the code for the servers along with the rest of the server team. So it does, you know, character storage, network transactions, you know, connection, file patching, all the things that allow it to be an internet-based game.
My current role in this company is I'm in charge of the design and content production teams. And so what that means is we're the group within the company that figures out what we want to do with a campaign. You know, we want to take each campaign in a different direction.
Coming off the success of Guild Wars Factions, the creators at ArenaNet looked to build an even more compelling story and game. The founders, along with a team of writers and designers, got together to brainstorm concepts for their 3rd campaign, much of which stemmed from ideas uncovered while working on the first 2 campaigns. Their intention was to incorporate a fresh storyline while adding new characters and a new gaming experience. The result was Nightfall.
We have kind of a unique opportunity compared to a lot of online RPGs to have a game that tells a story and gives you a stronger role-playing experience.
We want to get people more interested in the story, in slowing down, taking time to smell the roses, so to speak.
We started out with a really simple idea. We wanted a story that was much more about a war, kind of straightforward. There's an evil force, you're going to take it on.
We
tell the story through a series of missions in which the heroes discover a great evil within the land of Elona and fight it. The idea is the story unfolds through the cinematics, and by the end of the adventure, not only you have a powerful character, you also have the story of which you save Elona from this dark menace.
The idea shifted pretty quickly, or evolved pretty quickly, to include the idea of these two professions being holy warriors, and then that leads to, you know, we've got this image of this guy. What organization is he with? What kind of culture does he come from?
What excites me the most are the heroes. Within the game we have henchmen, which tend to be, if in a lot of massively multiplayers, you have to get a whole bunch of people together in order to play people online. The henchman mechanic within Guild Wars allows you to pick up some AI characters, some artificial intelligence characters that will go with you.
Those two forces coming together, the customizable henchman and the let's get smaller numbers of people together so that, you know, people can take the time to enjoy the story. Those two came together, and that was what caused us to go build Nightfall.
In Nightfall, which is set in the land of Elona, the land of the Golden Sun, you are a Sun Spear, which is like a Jedi Knight or a Texas Ranger.
You've done something to awake the ire of this neighboring territory. And the chief, the person who rules this nation, or kind of runs this, is responsible for this nation, is Varish Asa.
You're one of a group of heroes whose job it is to protect the land from danger, from marauders, from invaders, from corsairs, and from much more darker menaces.
The storytelling on a minute-by-minute basis is about you and your party of heroes and who you're dealing with and what's happening right there at that moment.
Now a darker menace is showing up on the horizon. There have been omens and auguries and strange eruptions, and strange creatures are walking the land, and an ancient forgotten god whose name has been struck from the monuments and forgotten is making his comeback.
It's a very personal story in which you really have the opportunity to be the hero, to direct the events that are unfolding. So we really wanted to make it a personal and emotional storytelling experience this time around.
The process of making Nightfall involves many steps, from concept to completion. Though the heart of any campaign is the story and design, ArenaNet draws on the talent of over 100 employees, all of whom work in conjunction with one another.
We are in the center of ArenaNet here in Bellevue, Washington. What you see around us is some of the art of the game. We're near where the artists and the QA and the programmers and the developers create Guild Wars.
Oh, shock. Hello.
So this is Lisa LaFay, also known as our den mother. Lisa keeps the trains running and the meals coming and the lights on and everybody happy and healthy and warm and fed and all those good things that a den mother should do.
Fueled up.
Yeah, she's our office manager, and I think when she started we had, what, 40 people? And
40 people.
Now we've got 140 people, so she's very, very, very busy these days, but probably the most popular person in the office because she brings us lunch at noon every day.
Yeah, lunch and handing out payroll every 2 weeks. I'm a very popular person.
Yeah, you get to do all the fun stuff. So we're here in one of the two design teams for Nightfall. These are the folks who create the missions, create the quests, the unique items that go into the game. Everything that makes Nightfall Nightfall goes on in here.
Our team is responsible primarily for all the things that you think of in the game that sort of make it a real game. For instance, we do the things like we implement skills, we implement quests, mission logic, user interface, things like that. We also work a lot on some of the core features of the game, like alliances and heroes and all the stuff that sort of make it a fun game to play.
We're really trying to make an opportunity to give players choices that they want to make with their characters. We're trying to come up with storylines where they branch in a number of locations and they can really pick which way they want to go. And we're hoping that it'll allow people to get a little more immersed in who their characters are, get a story, a little bit of role play behind like what what makes their character tick. We want to let them be bad guys every now and then, things like that. So that's something we haven't really done so much in the past, but we're really trying to put a focus on this time.
This is the Guild Wars core design team. And so this is where the core mechanics for the game are designed, including combat, monsters, items, things that are not only present in a specific campaign, but are more designed for the entire Guild Wars franchise as well.
The first thing you do with the game is try to discover the fun and stuff. You're not necessarily trying to make it balanced or trying to make it fit exactly what your preconceived notion is. You try to find out what about this thing is fun. And so then as those things evolve, sometimes it changes the story.
We find good mechanics, we find playable experiences, and then we basically see what kind of story goes well with those. Like the art, like the music, like the sounds. It is all geared toward making the player experience the best it can possibly be.
The setting for Nightfall kind of came in a really natural way. It seemed the obvious place to go. There were these places that we had talked about a lot, especially in the first Guild Wars, about Ilona, and there's talk of Marganites and this guy Turai Osa who came through the desert looking for ascension. And so it was pretty simple for us to say, hey, why don't we go ahead and tell that story? Why don't we show the land where he came from?
From the very top, as the core decisions are made, we just start filling it in. And at every step of the way, the design teams and the art teams, and at that point the programming teams, all have to work in lockstep to make sure that they're building things to present a consistent look and feel. And that everything from every small play mechanic, every building that you see, every creature, every skill, that it all works together and gives you a sense of place and identity for that campaign.
The other big thing is working with the artists, especially our art director, Daniel Dochu, comes up with so many just crazy, really strong visuals that very often, we'll adjust story or missions or mechanics to fit in this, wacky idea he's had.
Daniel will start working months in advance of the bulk of the art team to do very high-level studies of materials and textures, light, environment, colors, architecture, creatures. Usually the creatures he makes don't ever actually wind up going into the game, but they heavily influence the type of creatures that we make for the game.
What I do as far as concept art is the high-level, inspirational pieces that kind of establish really early on the look and feel and the theme, the flavor of a new chapter. As far as inspiration sources for Nightfall, we decided for it to be sort of a North African influences that reach farther south, folk art, traditional art, being generated by cultures living in those areas. Keep up the good work.
Do you think I'm going to get a raise?
Right now, I'm working on a piece that is very, very central to this chapter. It's kind of a hub of the culture that populates this world.
Did you do this yourself?
Yeah.
Help from your buddy?
One of the locations that you may recognize in the trailer as having very strong Islamic influences is actually what we call highlands. It is a very fantastical environment and kind of inspired by Oriental folklore and tales, 1001 Nights if you want, and all that very dreamlike world of opulence and fantasy. The concept artists are the ones who contribute in the very early phases and are responsible for building the look and feel and the flavor of this chapter.
This is Jason, Levi, Kekai, and Jamie. And these guys are some of our 3D key prop and environment artists. And Jamie Jones is a brand new concept artist on the team. These three guys right here, when we're about to go start making a new campaign, they're kind of the strike team that goes in ahead of it and work real closely with Daniel to lay out a lot of the core architecture, core props, and build the core look of the world. The really magnificent things that you see came right out of, well, I was gonna say out of this room, but they just moved into this room day before yesterday, so from their hands and minds.
Lead designer is an interesting position because we have about 100 different people on the team, and more than anything, it's my job to make sure that everything we're doing is coordinated and working toward a single goal.
This is not one person's story, this is a group story. We've had a central spine that we've been working off of, a theme, and everyone who comes in contact with it has contributed to it, changed it, altered it. We've reversed decisions, we've changed endings.
It's kind of our job to take the story that Jeff and the other designers come up with and breathe life into the characters.
This is very different than writing a novel or a traditional hobby role-playing game in the fact that it's such a group effort. It is just, and we are continually evaluating, reviewing, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and being willing to go back and make it a better project.
If we feel that a change needs to be made that'll improve the game, we can actually do it. That's one of the great things about working in an online game. It's not like you just finish it and pack it up, it goes out the door, and you're immediately on the next thing. And we're constantly just tweaking, refining, we're changing, little elements here and there, some of the characters, some of the story, we're rebalancing the skills or adding new content for special weekend events and things like that. So it's pretty cool, it's definitely a dynamic environment.
These folks are also the ones who are making the missions, making the scripts that drive the missions and the behavior of NPCs, the dialogue of NPCs. Everything you experience as you go through the game and experience the story, the mechanics of how that actually happens and what it is that you're experiencing as you play all take place in here.
One of the big things we're always doing is looking at what we think the weaknesses are with the game and try to figure out the best ways we can improve it.
What we've done a lot of, and we're very close to, I said, to our original plot, is that we said, what would happen if we did this? We had a major character, was going to be a bad guy to the end. We said, well, what happens if we made him a good guy? What happens if we brought him in? What happens if we went to the light side of the Force? And we played with it, and we changed it, and we altered it, and we saw how characters interact.
What are the new professions? How do they behave? What new, fresh mechanics do they introduce into the game? And what do they look like? And so that's an early conversation that between the design team and the art team. And then of course there's, now that you know what these characters look like, what kind of world do they live in?
Hi, my name is Kristen Perry, and I'm one of the artists here over in the character art department. We basically build all the armors for the player characters, and that consists on a lot of things like the concept, for example, which I do, and modeling and texturing and getting that in the game, bringing it up for the animations according to the animator department, and just going from there. So what's unique about our department is we're probably, as far as the most interaction, we're probably a little bit of the most visible because we're going to be the player character armor creators that you're going to be seeing the backs of running around everywhere. It's quite a unique position because we get to be a little bit flashier than most. The goal here is to actually be as flamboyant and as cool as possible and trying to get these designs out. And for this, we've got a lot of great people here that are incredibly talented that do the job just right. So it's a really good eclectic pot here. The two new classes are the Paragons and the Dervishes, and they're of course a little bit different. In Nightfall, we do build up the character to especially adhere a lot to the new environments that we have, and since it is a bit of a North African feel here, very African based, and of course of all of our armors and the character pieces have to adhere to this.
The character I always like to play is an elementalist, just because, well, first off, I play female characters, because if you're going to be playing a role-playing game, you're going to look at the same character for a long period of time. Why not look at a female character, right? So I play the elementalist because she's hot, and that's really not a very good play balance reason, but there you go. And then I alternate my second professions a lot.
The one I've been playing recently is a dervish, of course, because the dervish avatar of the god skills are just absolutely rocking, and I think they're a really cool addition to the game. They just look cool, so I'm enjoying that.
Jeff and Pat are both playing dervishes, and so I'm playing a paragon.
Because he had to.
Because I have to, to be different.
My favorite character is a warrior ranger, because first of all, I get my kitty. And then second of all, I can use all of the poison to poison up my blades, and they go down that much faster. It's really great. So in which case with factions, I'm kind of a straight shooting kind of gal with that, so I did choose the assassin to try to get the new feel, but chose a ranger based on that so I could poison the blades. It's good stuff.
Necro monk almost exclusively. I like to solo. That's what I like about this game is you can solo, and the Necro monk is a good character for that.
But I've got an elementalist ranger that I'm very partial to in PvP. And it's the idea that I really enjoy the ability to stand back and blow people up at a distance. So.
Creature art room. We design from concept to model to finished textured piece of work here. We make all the monsters and then we hand them off to a different department, which is the animation department. And then, so I'll get a piece of work like this and then I'll start building it into a 3D model. And once the model's completed, I take it into Photoshop, lay out my UVs on a layer, which is sort of the skin of the monster. And this is what the monster looks like completely unwrapped. And then when we go into the viewer, it shows it with the completed monster with the animations all on it. I don't design the base part of what the monster looks like. I'll get a concept like this, but then once I have the concept, you can see that the textures are all very, very flat. And so I actually have a lot of room to sort of make up what the skin of the monster is and maybe sort of realign things that don't quite work once we take it to model form. So I'll look through reference libraries of, well, this guy's kind of a rock, plant, dragon thing. So I'll look at lizards and rocks and plants and then kind of mishmash them together. I might use some photos on there and then paint over it to sort of blend it all together to make the monster. This is a monster from Campaign 3. And this is probably my favorite one. Matt designed this guy. He's this beetle character, and he rolls along the ground, and he's got these great big scythes, so he's just sort of like itchy and kind of dangerous, but still kind of cute at the same time. He just rolls around, and it's just awesome. There we go. So he's very, very different. I mean, his shape's really different from a lot of the creatures we have, but on top of that, he moves completely differently. He rolls along, and visually, I think that makes it more interesting for the player because they're not just encountering different monsters, but they're encountering different movements and different spells and a lot of different stuff that the creatures do. So he's probably just my favorite because he looks dangerous, but it's still super cute.
We are in prop land now. This is where we do the nuts and bolts of the game as far as visuals go. We build the walls, the castles, gates, fences, bridges, what have you. We also do the special effects, the spell effects in here. And any cool destruction like big, huge things falling out of the sky and blowing up an innocent little farmhouse, that's our specialty in here as well. I had originally requested an army of robot monkeys to do the work, but unfortunately budget required that we hire this team of fantastic artists that we have, and I will introduce you to one right now. This is Horia. Horia works here because his father is the art director and I couldn't say no when he put his application in.
All right, something I'm working on right now is this sword I'm doing. So a lot of stuff will start with just like a quick pencil sketch, and then I'll start painting a texture, which is the flat skin that is going to be mapped on the model later. And then we, specify an alpha channel, and we figure out what the materials are in here, metal, whatever. And then we bring it all into 3D, and then do stuff like make it shiny. Can you see that? Yeah. So it's I don't know, it's pretty straightforward. Nothing, I don't know. I mean, when you've been doing it this long, it's easy. It's easy, really. No, that's all I got.
You're in the animator room right now, and this is pretty much where we take all the monsters and player characters that the modelers and texturers built, and just put a essentially is a skeleton, and we call it rig, and start to animate away. So I guess the process is I'll go in and decide what I want to do, and I'll look up reference footage for some ideas of the kind of motion I want to capture and the kind of the feel for the dance. I'll study this reference footage, and I won't follow it exactly, but I'll try to get the feel of what I want to accomplish. And since Nightfall is largely based in Africa, I wanted to kind of get sort of an African tribal dance team feel. So these are just the poses that I put in, minus all the movement in between, and try to get the poses as solid as I could, with strong line of action and really energetic kind of movements. It's one of my favorite animations to do because you can kind of go through and do kind of whatever you want. You don't have any real time constraints, and you can just go crazy with it. And the players seem to dig it. So it's just some fun stuff to do when they're not fighting.
This is the network programming room. So these guys are the ones who build out all of the global network infrastructure, keep it up and running, keep all the servers running, and build all the core network features. For example, hey guys, turn around and say hi and let us take a look. This is Stephen, Brandon, Kevin, Dennis, and Lewis over here. And they brought you great features such as observer mode, such as a network that actually stays up and runs 99.9% of the time instead of crashing all the time. Anytime we need to add a new big feature to the game, it almost always involves substantial work on the back-end infrastructure on the global server network, and these guys are the ones we call to actually get it done. So they are the ones who are here at 3 a.m. And getting called at 4 a.m. When things are going wrong in some country around the world somewhere. So we certainly appreciate their hard work. So great, thanks guys.
Hi, I'm Win.
And this is part of the environment artist room. This is Josh. He's working on a concept.
Hi, I'm Josh. Yes, this is a concept we get from Daniel, the art director, and we're just blocking in the basic areas. You can see from our mini map there that it's basically shaped like a crescent, the same way the artwork is. And we're using our various geometry tools to do things like build up walls, that sort of thing. We block in kind of the environments, the way the weather's gonna look, the skies and the fog and all that kind of stuff. So.
Hi. There's some more props in here now, starting to add in things like rocks and trees and scenery elements, building up what the environment looks like around the city, and then also blocking out the fort here with some of the city props that have been developed for us. And we have a whole menu palette of these props to use when we're building an environment that we can select from and then place in the world.
So this is the content programming team. These guys are the ones who take all the technology that comes out of the network programming team and out of the engine programming team, sews it all together and actually makes the game the game.
The Guild Wars community continues to grow in record numbers, and ArenaNet has listened to their players. They have taken their feedback to heart and created the best possible gaming experience.
I go and talk to the fans either in the game or on the fan forums or through correspondence, and they give us ideas about what they'd like to see in the game or concerns that they have about the game or ideas for the future.
Well, a lot of the feedback comes from the forums, so like we comb through all of the fan forums that are out there and see what people are saying about the game, both good and bad, and try to improve the things that a lot of people ask for improvements on. And we also have a lot of alpha testers that play in Guild Wars that give us a lot of feedback as well. We read the press, and we pretty much follow everything that's out there about Guild Wars to try to keep us in tune with what people want.
We have about 1,000 external alpha testers, and they're constantly playing the game. Every time we put up a new build, we're getting feedback, and so they'll tell us what their sort of experiences are and the things that they're excited about, and in some sense they're also aggregating the feedback from the even larger pool of users out there, because they're going on and reading bulletin boards and summarizing feedback. So it's this sort of whole pyramid of feedback that's coming to the design team to enable them to sort of pick the directions for the next campaign.
The great thing with releasing a new title like Nightfall is that we have more opportunities to involve the community in fun events, in-game events as well as community-related events. We have traditionally offered a design a weapon contest, and with each new world they have a whole new element of art that they can incorporate into the game. We have monster naming contests. We have contests that involve different elements of it. Right now, we're working on the Guild Emblem contest, and so players are being invited. They've had a look at Nightfall, and they've had a chance to see the world, and so they're designing elements that they would like their guild to sport on their guild cape in the future. We've become known for things that matter a lot to community, such as our holiday events. We had the best possible holiday event ever in our first one, which was in Halloween of 2005. It was absolutely phenomenally well received. What I look forward to, one of the most important things, is the holiday events and the way that we celebrate coming together as a community. The great thing about the design process of Guild Wars, and it's an extraordinarily different process than I've seen in other titles, is the fact that our designers actively listen and respond to input from their community of players.
Yeah, we're also trying to find ways to, I think, respond to our player community too. There are certain things that have been demanded, like the ability to more easily form groups and things like that, and there's a big push to add features to help support that kind of thing. And so we listen to our fans and want to make sure that we give them the tools to make Guild Wars an even more fun experience.
We have so many elements within Guild Wars that are a direct result of the feedback of our community.
Some of the best fan feedback we've gotten has actually been from people who work here now. We're always looking at the forums and looking at people who are active in the community. And a lot of times, first step, we'll invite them into the alpha test to get a sense of what they're like. And if they really contribute a lot and have a lot of great ideas, a lot of times they end up getting a chance, at least, to get a job here. Good designers that we picked up last year actually just started. He was already working as a game designer elsewhere, but he sent us this really long email, almost angry in tone, about all the things that he thought were wrong with Guild Wars and the things that he thought we could do better. We looked it over and said, a lot of these are really good points. I think the next week we flew him in for an interview.
Hey, I'm Dave. I'm the environment art lead, and these are a few of the maps here that we work on. It's sort of one of the parts of the process where we get a basic layout from the design department, and they do some top-down renders of what they want to see, and we can start to chart the progression through the game. So we can look at how the map's going to be, where the player's going to stop, how they're going to progress through, and other areas where they can congregate with other sets of players. and then they can keep going through and they can look at different choke points and different areas where attacks and things are going to occur from different areas, and then areas where they can rest up and change their party around and then keep progressing through the game. Basically, these are just 3 of the regions that we've got for Nightfall. Looking at a Badlands region, this is kind of all sulfurish mess over here. This is an area in the game where you basically come up to this fortress and you start working your way through sort of towards the beginning of the game. And as you go up into the highlands here, this is kind of where these opulent domes and onion domes and things and lots of floating gardens and things are going to be throughout the maps, and kind of surrounded by lots of slot rock canyons and sort of scrub grass and things. And here we've got a map that Jens is working on. It's Delta Bayou. He's actually gone over, and there were some pretty major design modifications done recently, so he's going through and doing some cleanup at the last minute here.
Basically what I've done here with Delta Bayou is got it back from the designers, and they need some revisions, some changes and tweaks. So they lay down pathing in the game for us, actually in map edit. And they designate, hey, we need a ship moved here, we need a tree here, we need a lighthouse here, we need to emphasize some lighting here for the player. Missions change throughout the course of the development of the game, so we need to make tweaks as necessary.
And what happens here is that we have game testers that test the game, find bugs for us, and then we get different notes on what to fix, parse it in map edit that we use, and then I click on these notations here. They send you right to the bug. And then you see what's going on, if it's pathing or the prop needs to be replaced. And then obviously a tree here needs to be lowered down. So I just put that in, everything works.
Here we've got Tirza. Tirza's working on one of the beginning maps, Delta Springs. It's one of the first few maps in the game that you're going to start as a new player.
I'm working on currently the pathing to make sure that the character is able to traverse through the map without getting hung up on things or just depleting the playability of the game. So basically this red strip here, I have to make it as smooth as possible so that the characters will not get stuck up on them and the player will be able to smoothly go through the map.
One of the original goals of Guild Wars was to create a competitive global community. The success of the Guild Wars World Championship and Factions Championship has paved the way for more exciting and competitive competition for Nightfall and the Guild Wars franchise.
We certainly are planning a big championship for Nightfall, just like we've done for Factions and our first product launch. We also have a new type of PvP that we will be introducing probably shortly after the launch of Nightfall, with all new tournament support and new opportunities for people to win prizes and earn glory.
It's very difficult to get 8 people together for our high-level competitive play, and we don't want just a very niche group of people really into competitive play. We want everyone into competitive play.
What's exciting about ArenaNet is that we're using a lot of the same sort of competitive play models that have been developed for other games and sports, but for online, which means it can run 24 hours a day and you get to meet and mingle and play with people from all around the world. So instead of spending months of planning for one live event, it's sort of exciting action that's going on all the time.
It's important for our game to be very well balanced so that we can hold these large tournaments for lots of money and it'd be a fun, exciting environment for everyone to watch and play. It's basically a lot of number tweaking and crunching and making sure that one particular thing isn't more powerful than the other and that the game is always flowing in a nice pace and that people are playing and having fun and enjoying not only playing it but watching it and making sure that it's an exciting sport for people to watch.
We can look at what works in professional sports, we can look at what works in card games and professional poker and take the different elements that we like and incorporate them into the game.
You get periods of time where you've seen a lot of the same old thing and the new campaigns really jumpstart and really just blow away your mind on combinations, and all sorts of fun builds come out. And the more and more campaigns that we release, the more and more skills, the more and more combinations, the crazier the environment gets, and the more exciting combinations have, and the more fun it is to see these two different guys matched up with these crazy different styles and see who's going to actually win, whose strategy, whose play, whose build, whose everything is going to decide who wins.
No one knows what the state of the game is anymore because we've introduced brand new characters and new skills and new weapons, new arenas, new maps, and it gives all of the players sort of an exciting opportunity to be the ones to discover new tricks, new strategies, new play styles.
We're definitely getting better and better at changing the metagame around with the new campaigns and really forcing people to think about what they're doing, and I look forward to beating on people.
This is the engine programming team, and these are the programmers who write all of the technology that actually sits on your PC. So core graphics engine, animation pipeline, also the tool sets that the development team uses to actually produce the content. So the world editor, map editor, and world building tools are done in here. The cinematics tools are done in here. So this is a really interesting room. Let's walk through and talk to a couple of folks. So this is Jim Scott, our engine technology programming lead, and Umesh. Umesh joined us, what, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, so Umesh is still learning all the ropes. What's new in Nightfall, Jim? What's different than previous Guild Wars campaigns?
Well, in Nightfall, to help give it a different look, we've created a new lighting model where we support per pixel lighting.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of rocks and mountains and different props within the game that pick up lighting at the different angles.
Here, Jim Bower is our sound programmer, does the technology that mixes all the music and sound in the game. And also, since Jim came on board, he's really been pushing us in new directions for interactive music and sound as well. So Jim, what are some of the new tricks in Nightfall?
Well, I think probably the first thing people are going to notice is the combat music system. Anytime the character engages in combat, you're going to hear the music switch over to very dynamic, very interesting new music. That'll be a lot more intense.
We basically move bones around in the face based on the amplitude of sounds, and we support dynamic expressions through manipulating facial features using our cinematics scripting technology.
So does that mean that as a player speaks, that their mouth will actually move in syncopation with speech, regardless of the language?
Regardless of the language, that's correct.
Very cool. That's going to make a huge difference.
I manage a team that gives coverage for quality assurance on the title. We go through the game day to day, looking at quests and missions to make sure everything is secure, that it's stable, and it's fun for players when it goes live.
So here is the QA team, hard at work, testing out one of the latest maps, Marga Coast. Taking a look at the quests involved in the map, as well as making sure that the map looks presentable to the general public.
Well, I think the QA is in a unique role within software development because we have the ability to communicate with all of the teams.
Here we have Ryan Scott with the team testing out one of the latest maps, going through testing out the fire skills on the Elementalist.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to see if I can get these things grouped up in some exploitive way for AoE damage, see if we can make it way easier than it was intended to be. Right now it doesn't seem to be an issue. They're splitting up properly and everything.
We're like the editors for the writers, and on a massive scale for art, programming, and design.
The greatest thing about working at ArenaNet by far is the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis. Not only are they extremely talented people, but they're extremely funny, they're extremely friendly, they're by far one of the greatest groups of people I've ever come in contact with.
Here, it's just the work environment's so awesome.
Oh, did it hurt?
Everybody gets along really well, and we have sort of nothing's really formal, everything's sort of loose, and the way we work together I think is a little bit unusual. We have sort of the pod environment where everybody sort of works together in a room, and
everyone in this room is fired.
it sort of cuts down on like all the meetings that you might otherwise have to have. We're working pretty much face-to-face on a day-to-day basis to develop the game. I think it helps us be a lot more productive and also to get a lot of cool ideas into the game that might not have otherwise gotten in there.
One day, right when I first started, a guy came running in a gorilla suit with a big collection of balloons and jumped on somebody when it was their birthday. And that pretty much sold me right there that this was unlike any other place I would ever work.
I wake up every morning excited to go to work. I mean, who could ask for more than that? You know, I walk in here and there is the most gorgeous art all over the walls. I'm just humbled by our artists. It's just, the company here is great. Everybody is so passionate. The level of passion in this building is just unbelievable. And you can just tell everybody loves being here, and it makes me love to be here too.
This room alone is full of some really, really great people, good animators, good friends. It's just it's a good place to come to work every day.
There's our amazing office manager, Lisa, who gets us all lunch every day, and I don't think any of us would survive without her. So she pretty much makes the company on her own. And everything starts with her and then kind of goes down from there.
You're basically empowered to be as innovative and creative as you want to be. There's no ceiling. You know, as far as working in the team, there's not, you know, one person in charge of managing all the ideas. This company really fosters open thinking, innovative thinking, and that's why I love being here.
It's like I do something different every day, so I never get bored. And I mean, the other thing is just, it's a lot of fun working here in this environment.
It's a dream job basically to work at a game company, especially one like this. Especially if you're an avid gamer, like I think everybody here at this company is. You know, you play these games, and if you know how to write them, you really want to work on them too. So coming to ArenaNet and working on a hit game like this is just, it's like a dream come true for any programmer.
I think I work with some of the most talented people in the industry, the most passionate, people who love to have fun, both inside and outside of work. They have a high attention to detail. They absolutely love working with each other and on the game.
I'm one of the older, older people of the group here, and it's been very exciting. A lot of the young people have a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. They're putting in the hours, they're putting in the time. They're coming up with brilliant stuff. And so it's very exciting to be a part of it.
The design side, mostly we're just looking for really creative people. People who are huge Guild Wars fans first, huge game fans second, and if they're willing to argue about if elves or dwarves are cooler, that's a big plus.
The biggest fanatics about Guild Wars that could ever be, who have a passion about the game, who want it to be fun, and want to be part of it.
You know, our core philosophy for building a company like this has been hire smart, capable, talented people, and then get out of their hair and let them do their job. These guys are both hardcore gamers. You know, we all came from a development environment.
Yeah, I think the critical thing is hiring people who are passionate about the game and then letting them make the game that they're passionate about.
The Guild Wars franchise is thriving, and many in the industry consider it to be one of the most forward-thinking MMOs on the market. This also brings huge expectations, something everyone at ArenaNet is fully aware of.
This is the game that I'm most proud of. I think we're doing all the right things with this one, and I think our players are really going to like it. We're doing a lot of stuff that fits really what they've been asking for all along. I think more so than ever, this is the game that goes with what the players have been wanting.
If you're a big gamer, you're going to make the kind of game you'd like to play, and that's what we've been doing. So as soon as it launches, we're going to be out there making our own heroes, configuring them, doing everything everybody else is doing.
I think the biggest challenge is living up to the expectations that our fans have developed for our game. I think one of the biggest things that stood out to me when I came in and worked on the first game and saw the feedback that players had was they really feel like Guild Wars could be the best game of its kind out there, maybe the best game of its kind ever made.
What I hope with Nightfall is I hope that it's a much more story-driven experience than people have experienced in either past Guild Wars or in other online role-playing games that they play.
Just being able to affect someone with the stories that we're telling and the experiences that we're giving them to the point where they would take the day off work in order to play it is something that's just really, really cool.
seeing the work that you put in on a day-to-day basis being appreciated by so many people. I mean, our fans, just the ability to see how much they're enjoying what you've worked on. I mean, what you've put so much blood, sweat, and tears into. It's really rewarding.
It's a tremendous amount of pressure to keep that going, but I don't think any of us would have it any other way. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to have built a game like Guild Wars and see people take to it like they have.
You're exhausted anytime a game ships. If you're not, then there was probably more that you could do. But there's a special feeling because it's not just you, it's all the people around you, and they've all put their heart and soul into it, and so it's a fantastic feeling when you feel like, okay guys, we did it.
Those last few weeks of a project are always the most fun because it's all coming together and you're starting to step back, and if you've done your job, then you start realizing, wow, we've made a really kick-ass game and this is really fun to play. And fortunately, we've been able to go through that twice now with Guild Wars, and I'm looking forward to going through it again.
I feel like Guild Wars really has a storyline that's going somewhere. I know maybe some of our players don't see that quite yet, but we have a real big plan, and it's all going to come together in this third game and in Nightfall.
The source of the evil is in the desert, in Alona, and by playing through Nightfall, I get to see it.
Coming down towards the end of the story in this one, I think it's definitely got the feel of an epic battle on the proportions that people haven't seen yet.
Some really great people out there, some really dedicated fans, and without them we wouldn't be as successful as we are.
I know that we could do so much more. We are barely scratching the surface. I'm more excited about the possibilities that are ahead of us than by the results that we accomplished so far.
I'm a huge, big old nerdy dork, and I love every minute of it. I play games all day at work. I go home and pretty much just keep playing games.
One of our heroes is dating another one of our heroes and her sister.
I'm not anywhere near as social as this guy. I like to hide in a dark room and play by myself sometimes. Wait, that doesn't sound good, does it? But anyway, you know what I mean.
Guild Wars. I love that game. So.
Jeff is. Can we start?
Yeah.
If I met a girl at a bar, I don't necessarily think that I would tell her that I'm a game designer.